Welcome to the following on show as we review the third day of the third test match between England and India, with scores finishing tied on the first innings for just the 9th time in test history. So we have a one-innings game effectively over the course of 2 days, although England will begin the fourth morning 2 runs to the good, effectively 2 without loss. That's what they are, 2 without loss. Zach Crawley managed to extend the one and only over bowled by Jasprit Bumrah to about 9 minutes by over-exaggerating a thumb injury. But it was a day of toil, and perhaps one that India will look back on as another of missed opportunities, just like they had at Headingley. A moment of inspirational brilliance from Ben Stokes, not only with the ball but with the field, in the field, changed things around as a fourth wicket partnership of 141 was eventually broken by the England captain with a direct hit, a magnificent piece of fielding. And there were a couple of 70s in the middle order. KL Rahul was out exactly for 100. And so they will feel perhaps that they should have still been batting well into the fourth day. For England, I suspect they will see it as a day of hard work vindicated. It took them 119.2 overs to finally dismiss India. Slow day again with 242 runs scored. That was the deficit at the start of play for the loss of 7 wickets. But another tail-end collapse, and this is what might concern India. They lost their last 4 wickets for just 11 runs in 6 overs. That's what cost them dear in the first test at Headingley. And might it cost them, again, Jeremy Coney and Steve Harmison with me to look back at the day's events. Jeremy, do you think that India will see it? I mean, you've got a couple of 70s in the middle order there. Rishabh Pant, 74. Ravi Jadeja, 72. A couple others made starts. Nitish Reddy, 30. Washington Sundar was the last man out for 23. But I suspect England might be, spiritually rather than statistically, the happier of the two sides. I think India might be thinking lost opportunities.
Yeah, they'll be pleased, of course, that they got up to the target. That's the first thing. That would have been where they were aiming at. Personally, I would have liked to see them to go past. So those are some of the little errors that occurred that you've described already there, that they had opportunities to go past the 387. And that was maybe the best way that they could possibly win the game if they had got to 50 to 100 runs ahead with, sensible, because it was sort of, some of it was a wee bit self-inflicted, I think. So that aside, as far as the next part goes, I think that they will feel, yes, we missed out on an opportunity when we got into the lower order. No one really quite knew what they were going to do. They lost their way, I think, when you described those last 4 wickets.
Harmy, as far as England are concerned, the bowlers' workloads are been very significant. And so, although convention says, it should be more difficult for India because they have to bat last, and England in an ideal world would like to set them a target, if they're not bowled out, obviously. But they will have concerns because Chris Woakes 27 overs, Jofra Archer 23.2, Bryden Cast 24. Ben Stokes, the captain, bowled a 7-over spell at the end there, 20 overs for him as well. So all of them over 20 overs. And it's all well and good for the batsman to sit back and say, let's set them a target and let's bowl them out in 90 overs. And the bowlers might be thinking, whoa, hang on a minute, we've got 1 day to recover.
Yeah, we've done back-to-back games, and we've spent a lot of time in the field over this course of this series so far. I just look at this instance, Manners, and think, you know what, from England's point of view, just bat tomorrow and see where you get to. Don't worry about the game situation, because that could cause them a hell of a lot of problems. If they go and chase to try and win the game, then they could come unstuck. I look at it here when you ask Jeremy there, it's a one-innings game. Who is the likely to take 10 wickets? Which team at this moment in time, which bowling attack is likely to take 10 wickets in this contest between now and the end of Monday? And then you'd have to say it's India. And I think they've probably got the best bowling attack suited on this given surface to what's been happening in the game and in the series, and in general from cricketing point of view. When you look at Archer, and this could be the first time to turn around and say, Ben, you know what? Just take what you can. Take what you lot. If I was in there, I'd be saying, look, can we bat all day tomorrow? Can we have a mad 15, 20 minutes on Monday morning? And then all of a sudden, if we are in a position where we can give them 70 to 80 overs at just over sort of 4.5, 5 and over, I'd be tempted to have a go. But I'd only be tempted because of my bowling unit, where they're at. The caveat and the stumbling block to that is India have got 2 competent spinners, a slope to play with, and a guy called Jasprit Bumrah. So it's not going to be that easy for England. But for me, I think this could be the first time Ben really, if he really wants to be serious and go right, we want to go down as one of the best teams of in the world, and we're going to take the world on, and we're going to beat Australia, and we're going to think in Bazball, and we're trying to be smart. I just think possibly bat tomorrow and see where you get to. Don't try and chase the game, because if you do, I think you'll come unstuck.
So work backwards then, and how many overs can you guys bowl? How many overs can we bowl between us? How many do we want? 70, 75?
How many overs do you think that we can bowl India out in a crazy... So work it the opposite way you would go with your batting and go, right, we feel as though if we had to chase 7 and over for the last session, like we did at Trent Bridge, we'll go and do it. If we chase 7 and over for a session and a half, we've got the batting unit to go and do it. And that's crazy. That's over the norm. For me, what realistic target would we have from an overs point of view? Would we be able to bowl them out in 60 overs if the ball's going down? Because you've got to remember as well, I don't want to be disrespectful to Shoaib Bashir, but he hasn't looked like taking wickets. And he's got a finger injury. We haven't got that Jadeja Sundar. So for me, I'd be thinking, right, let's just have a bat. Let's see where we get to. And if we get to a position at 60 overs to go, 70 overs to go, let's stick them in, see if we can cause a few headaches. See if we can go to Manchester with momentum. And if we don't win, we get them 7 down, and people will say, oh, well, you didn't declare early enough. You turn around and say, he hasn't bowled for 4 years. I've had so many injuries that's going in Ben Stokes, and these 2 big lads have had back-to-back games over the course of these 3 games, and they are cooked. Shoaib Bashir's got a finger injury. We tried it. We went for it. We had a go. Momentum goes to Manchester. It's 1-1. Let's get on with the game.
Yeah, when I said how many overs can we bowl, I wasn't talking about how many overs do we need to bowl them out. I was talking about how many overs can we bowl.
Not many, to be fair.
Well,
they got cooked.
Jeremy, does it come down to a matter of desire? How much does either team want to win this game? How much are they prepared to risk to make a play to try and win it? Given that there is a week off before the 4th Test match at Old Trafford. I mean, gone are the days when teams are both happy with a stalemate. And that used to be the case, but it would be very rare if that was the case again this time.
I would really like tomorrow to see a different Shubman Gill. I put throughout this series so far, young captain, it's very easy to be slightly conservative, to play it safely, to make sure the fields are set out, rather than to go for the jugular a little bit more and have some more attacking fields and so on. And I think there's a possibility tomorrow, it might exist on that surface. I thought I have started to see some turn, and I thought also I started to see some variation of bounce, not just for the seamers, but also for the spinners. Now, that being the case, I think I agree with Steve in the sense that there is more options amongst the bowling resources of India that they can use tomorrow, and I'd like Shubman Gill to understand that and to start to go in and place his field, in as more perhaps Stokes might, into catching positions rather than run-saving positions. Now, whether we see that or not, I'm not too sure yet. He may become that kind of captain, but I don't know whether he's quite there yet, but I'd like to see it, because there is an opportunity here for India. I mean, England may get away, I don't know, but I would sense, if you believe in your bowlers and what you've seen out there, I think there's a chance for them. I think there's a chance to put some pressure on.
Before we talk more about the next 2 days, there's just a couple of moments that came to mind. KL Rahul's century was brilliant, but it's moments that change Test matches. You know, we'll remember the 5 days, and we've already had 2 full 5-day Test matches, and we may well have another one here. But it's those moments, and I mentioned Stokes' incredible run out to get rid of Rishabh Pant, that partnership of 141. You know, another hour of that, and England are struggling. So that was a brilliant moment. Harry Brook took a stunning catch as well. That's diving one-handed away to second slip, and then finished the innings with a catch at backstop, which brought a big smile to my face. I did enjoy that a lot. He knew that Washington Sundar was going to be playing some shots, and that crazy under-11 position backstop took the catch. I mean, there were moments, weren't there? There were moments of good old-fashioned or bad old-fashioned attrition, and there were moments of real grind. I think we had another commentary stint with about 3 runs scored in it. But there were flashes of brilliance, and you can't help admiring that. I mean, that comes after 3-4 hours in the field for Harry Brook to stand at slip, and so I would just wonder whether those moments might actually come back to have an effect on the result.
Possibly, from an India's point of view, I think I would imagine they'll believe that they could have had a score in excess of 400. Stokes was, we could have had 5-6 run-outs. I mean, there was some dozy running, wasn't there, between. Well, it seemed to be. Jadeja was involved in every one of them, doesn't he? So we've got to put the blame somewhere close to Jadeja, because Reddy nearly ran out twice with him. Sundar ran out twice with him, and obviously Pant got run out. So yeah, there were moments. It was a great catch from Harry Brook, and you show that the levels of concentration that you need. I thought, I was pleased for Chris Woakes to get his wickets at the end. He didn't bowl the way Chris Woakes would like to bowl, and he usually bowls here at Lords. That might give him a boost for the second innings. If this contest goes the way you think it might go, he might be the one that misses out at Manchester. Bryden Carse kept running in. I mean, he kept charging in. There was a brilliant passage on the TV a little bit earlier. I've just seen the clip of it, and it was Brendan McCullum looking at the iPad, sending a message through Tim Southey, who came down to give Ben Stokes a drink on the boundary. And I mean, I can't remember who it was on. I want to say it was NASA, but I can't believe it was NASA. It wasn't NASA. Scott's saying it was NASA. I can't believe NASA's this funny, because and it was like, go down there, tell him a joke, get him laughing, and then tell him to stop bowling because he's bowling far too much at this minute in time. And but at that moment when Stokes was bowling, it was fantastic. It was. He got it moving down the hill. He got a few to go, like Jeremy said, along the floor. Got that beauty to sort of bounce and nip off and take Reddy's outside edge. I mean, we said all along, this series is going to be unbelievable. It hasn't disappointed. And there's still some great moments to go as in this Test match, I think.
Just to clarify that ball change issue from yesterday, there was a narrative developed overnight in the Indian media that it was an umpire-inspired decision to change the ball. I don't think that is the case. I think it has been confirmed now that that it was Mohammad Siraj who initiated the ball change. And Shubman Gill was very animated with the umpires, and it happened again at the end of today. Let's be honest about this. There's some real niggle developing between the two teams on the field. I think England have become frustrated about the lengthy stoppages that have been taking place for treatment to Indian players and for problems with sight screen vision. There's been a lot of stoppages. And in the final over, the one and only over that Jasprit Bumrah was able to bowl at the close of play, Zach Crawley was hit on the glove and made a 3-course meal of it. And Shubman Gill was very sarcastic, applauding and rushing up and asking if he was okay. Personally, I find it great. I mean, there is niggle. I mean, it's supposed to be, as Ben Stokes said. you know, it would be called easy cricket if it wasn't.
It should be niggle. Why? I mean, you represent your country.
So it hasn't
Don't
crossed the
back
line
down.
for you. I
No,
mean,
no.
Gill was
No.
very close, and he was, you know, giving it the finger in the batsman's
And
face.
you've seen Ben Duckett going over, and Ben Duckett.
Oh yeah,
you know,
he loves to get stuck in.
Loves
doesn't
to get stuck in, but he's quite good, Ben, when it comes to not being the voice of reason, but just sort of having the argument in his way. You could see what he was saying. He walks over, he got on the way of Shubman Gill and Zach Crawley, and he's looking up because obviously he's a little bit smaller, and he's going and he's putting. It was simple. He was pointing at Shubman Gill and then pointing at the floor. He was going, I mean, you had 10 minutes with a bloke on your back, so you can't complain, mate. You can't. So look, England are getting frustrated by the level of time that's been taken out of the game. Anybody in the world would have batted exactly like what Zach Crawley did tonight and pulled away. The ironic thing was, right, because I was on with John Norman, he got hit on the finger and the physio ran out at 31 minutes past 6. So he'd already done his job to waste the time. He didn't need the physio to come out. So, look, it is what it is. It's great. It just makes the series, for me, even better.
Look, I don't mind it. I think the umpires, however, are losing control in certain areas of what's going on the field. I think scheduled drinks breaks, that's it. Why does Rishabh Pant really need 15 minutes into after the start of the day? He has his first drink. Those things I don't think is necessary. I know it's a hot day, but you can get through 2 hours. You should be fit enough. These guys are fit. You can get through 2 hours.
Well, they only need to get through one because there's a drinks break.
Yeah, exactly. So really, scheduled drinks breaks only. We're having far too many of them. If there's an injury, which we've kind of just started to discuss that, if it's an injury, go off the field. Go off the field, bring another man on. Let's carry on with the game. You know, I think you've got to be, you know, strong about these sorts of things. Otherwise, it just carries on, and the players start running the game, which is what we're kind of seeing, aren't we? And the other thing is the ball changes. I think it's almost up to, and it may be a bit controversial here, but I think that the umpires should be responsible for these things. Take the players out of the game. They ask for the ball because it's not doing the things that they want it to do. That's why they ask. Of course, that's why they ask. I can understand that. But if the umpires are in charge of it and look after that side of it, that will take all those things away.
And it's a little bit of these rings that they've got. You know, you can squeeze a ball. You can squeeze a ball into a little bit of a shape, and you can make sure it doesn't go through the ring, and then that's a change. So I mean, it's difficult. It is the balls. Look, it is. The balls aren't up to the standard that international cricket requires. Whatever reason that are, and I'm sure there are reasons, whether it's bats, you know, balls getting hit off the boundary or through off the fences and all sorts of stuff, you can make excuses for. But unfortunately, they've got to find a way of, you know, alleviating the amount of time they're taking between each decision. Because if a ball gets changed 4 or 5 times, that's 20 minutes. That's 20 minutes when it's by the time third umpire, fourth umpire comes out and all that. So they've got to find a formula in a way. Joe Root said last night, should be 3 challenges for, I'm with Jeremy, it should be the umpire. Forget these rings, put them back in your pocket, throw a ball to an umpire. Does that look out of shape for an international cricket match? And if the umpire says, no, that's fine, you got Pistol Paul Rifle. He's a bowler. He knows what a ball looks like. But I'm with you. I think umpires are loose. I think umpires are now scared of players. They are scared to make a decision. All DRS has come in, and umpires, unfortunately, are helped by decisions. And we've seen tonight not 2 bad decisions, but 2 decisions overturned by technology. I think muddled thinking, muddled messaging from an umpire's point of view, and also the most important thing, they are not controlling and ruling the game the way they should do. If Rishabh Pant wants a drink and the guy comes on, I mean, in my area, I look at someone like Simon Taufel, who managed the game brilliantly. I looked at Alim Dar, managed the game brilliantly. So did Steve Buckner. These in this situation, oi, you, yellow bib, off. See you later. Don't even come back onto my field until I wave you on. Not when he wants you to come on, when I wave you on. That's the thing for me. Player goes to the umpire, goes to the opposition captain. Can I have a drink? Umpire, no. Off. and you start. All you have to do is start one precedent that way, and everybody. It funnels throughout the game. At this minute in time, there's too many players taking liberties.
And the umpires are afraid to assert their authority. They do have the authority. As you said, it's their playing serve. They're supposedly in control of the game. And we had yellow viz players rushing on between overs. And also, if the umpires check the ball at the end of every over, why can't they just pop it through the ring at the end of each over, just to be sure that they're keeping up to date with the progress of the ball. Jeremy, a lot of people might think that actually, Harmy, you've been warning against a collapse. You said that there's a collapse coming in this series, and you've said often that it can be in the second of back-to-back Test matches. So if England need to avoid the guard against the third innings bogey, don't they? It often happens in the third innings.
You've done me here, Manners. You've done me out of sight here, because I was trying not to say it before when I was going, well, the best bowling attack to take 10 wickets on this surface is going to be India's. I'm trying everything in my power not to say I think India are favourites here, because I think the most likely to take 10 wickets here are India, not England. And I've got a funny feeling, I really have, and I hate these feelings, because I really want England to bat out tomorrow. I want them to go into Monday and see out the Test match in such a way, because that would be a positive result. I know Ben's saying not about draws. That would be a positive result. I've got a funny feeling we might have a two spinners, Jasprit Bumrah, middle of the afternoon, and England get bowled out for 150 to 180 because of tiredness, and that surface is getting tired, and they've got the bowlers to have it.
Don't think he means funny, does he?
No, he doesn't mean that at all. But I've mentioned that. I've said there's an opportunity there for one of these sides, and I think probably it's more likely to be India because of their bowling attack and their bowling resources. But let's see if England can get enough runs that they'll put the pressure back on India.
Well, I do hope so.
Yeah,
I really do hope so.
It just needs Duckett and Crawley to bat like they did for the first session at Headingley. Make sure that nothing alarming happens in the first session, and then we could be in for an absolutely belter of a fifth day. That's following on. England will resume on the fourth morning, 2 without loss and 2 runs to the good in what has effectively become a one-innings game over 2 days. See you tomorrow. Commentary begins at 10:55 a.m.